Question. I was wondering whether posting on Facebook is forcing people. I'm on a feed, and if I share and feeling unattached to the outcome, is that forcing people? If I'm sharing from a neutral state of mind, that is, because people can choose to look at my feed or not. I just was wondering, because you don't seem to do that. People just maybe find you on YouTube or through the teachings. In the first way of power, it does talk about forcing things on people that are in the epic mindset. As an example, it gave people that are killing each other, that don't have their higher minds activated. So I reasoned that some people might be open to it, that perhaps... and what I say is for those people. I realize some people can still be in the epic mindset that are not necessarily killing people. How do you look at this and sharing? As long as I'm not sharing from the consciousness that seeks to force an outer change based off how others should change, and I am neutral, I shouldn't make karma. Yeah, I don't see any problem with sharing things. See, the way I look at it is, we're all in embodiment on Earth, and Earth is an unnatural planet, it's a dense planet, there's an awful lot of things going on. So there are people in many different states of consciousness from many different cultural backgrounds. But part of the reason why we are here is that by interacting with each other, we have an opportunity to raise our consciousness. Now, in many cases, people interact with each other and they reinforce the state of consciousness they're in, or they even lower it because they get into conflicts. But nevertheless, what I'm trying to say is, if you're not trying to directly force people physically, if you're not trying to manipulate or lie to people, you have a right to express yourself. You're on Earth, you're being exposed to all kinds of things from the collective consciousness, from other people. But you have a right to be who you are, and you have a right to express yourself. And it's up to people what they do with that. I mean, they can just ignore what you're saying. Who's forcing people to look at Facebook? Who's forcing people to be on Facebook? So I would say it's not just that we have a right to do it. It's actually part of why we're here. Because if those of us who are spiritual people and who are not forcing people physically, who are not manipulating people, not lying to people, if we don't express ourselves, how will other people experience that we are not in the same state of consciousness they're in? So if you're interacting with somebody who is in a more selfish, self-centered state of consciousness than you are giving them an opportunity to see that, oh, I don't have to approach life the way I have been doing so far. Because I see now that I'm angry at everything, but this other person is not angry at everything. So maybe there's an alternative to my state of consciousness. And maybe I could rise to the same state of consciousness that this other person seems to be in. Now, I admit that there are many people that they don't think like that because they are just always trying to enforce their current state of consciousness. But nevertheless, there will be some people who will wonder if you express something differently. And that's all you can do. You know, when you respect people's free will, you're not trying to force other people or persuade other people. And so what I found, which I've talked about in several other videos, is that you basically need to strive to come to a point where you are, as the Buddhists say, you're committing right action, but you're not attached to the fruits of action. So you're just expressing yourself, what you believe, how you see things, and you're not attached to how other people take it. If they dislike what you're saying and argue against it, you're not attached to that. But you're also not attached if they like it. It's like you're just neutral. You strive to be neutral. And in order to really get there, you of course need to do what I've talked about in so many videos. You need to look at your subconscious mind, these subconscious selves, and resolve them. Because it's the subconscious selves that make us attached to a particular outcome. One of the typical things that you see in a lot of people, and really, if we step back and look at human psychology, right, we can see that many people are in this state of mind where they're constantly looking for validation. It's like they're constantly, it's almost like they're walking around with a t-shirt that says, validate me, validate me. Because they're feeling insecure and they want other people to agree with them, to tell them they're okay, to tell them they're good people, and so forth. But this all comes from a subconscious group of subconscious selves. And I remember, well, when I was younger, I had the same thing. And it was a constant stress. I mean, we don't notice it because we are so used to it, right? We grew up that way from childhood, even from past lifetimes, wanting to be validated. And it can even, if we avatars, go back to the birth trauma that I'll talk about in my avatar psychology playlist. So it's a very deep need we have to be validated. And it puts us under constant stress because we're always evaluating, are other people going to agree? Are they going to dislike me? Are they going to attack me? So there's a risk of putting yourself out there publicly. And so you could say that what Facebook and social media in general has done to people is that they have given us all an opportunity to look at our reactions to other people and work on those reactions. Because, I mean, I remember when I first got on Facebook, I think it was 2010 probably, maybe 9, but anyway, and I was very sensitive to what reactions people would have when I posted something. And it's obviously a subconscious self that has that sensitivity. So I just remember coming to a point where I had resolved this, and it was like such a relief. I was like, oh, I can be myself. I can just be myself. I don't need to always evaluate. It's like you have this, some call it the inner critic or the internal judge or the inner voice that's constantly judging every situation. Am I going to be okay? Am I going to be attacked? Is this dangerous? Should I run? Should I fight? And it's a constant stress on you. And so I think social media is a great way to test your own reactions to other people. Of course, you can do it in real life situations as well, but it's just on social media you are exposed to many more different kinds of people from different backgrounds with different opinions. So it's actually good to come to a point where if you really are neutral, you're just not attached to people's reactions. You're expressing yourself freely, but you're also allowing other people to express themselves freely. Now there's another part of the question where the person says, also, I may not be completely healed of everything and the birth trauma, so be discerning of what I say. And, it's very important to realize something here, because this is what has been projected at us, and it's even been reinforced by many spiritual movements, is that what's being projected at us is that if you express yourself publicly, you better be perfect or you're going to be criticized and put down. Just think about this. This is really what is being projected at us, that whenever we dare to say something in a public forum, we better be perfect, because otherwise we will be criticized hardly. Somebody will put us down. It's like Murphy's Law. If anything can go wrong, it will. Well, you can take Kim's Law and say, if anything can be criticized, it will be criticized. P.S. Anything can be criticized. Because as I've explained in my talks about the duality consciousness, in the duality consciousness, everything can be criticized. You cannot come up with an ultimate argument because somebody who's in the opposite dualistic extreme will see it as the ultimate lie. So whenever you're engaged in this, whenever you put yourself out there, somebody can always disagree with you, and it's almost guaranteed that somebody will disagree with you. And once you accept that, and once you look at that as an opportunity to look at your own reactions, you can quickly work through it. So to put it to a point where you just don't have a reaction to it. I mean, it's this again. You have to accept your free will meaning you have a right to express yourself. You have to accept other people's free will, meaning they have a right to say whatever they want to say about what you are saying. So back to this, that I may not be healed of everything. Well, none of us are. So what my point is that if we all wait until we are perfect before we dare to post something on Facebook, well, it's never going to happen. Because as long as we're an embodiment, there's always going to be something. And there's always going to be something somebody can criticize. So, you can just think back to the time before social media. I mean, I'm thinking back to my first spiritual book was Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. And I think he was a very, very wise spiritual teacher. But just imagine that Paramahansa Yogananda had been on Facebook. And there would be guaranteed to be somebody who would criticize him because they look down upon all spiritual teachers, right? So I'm just trying to say, you have to come to a point where you are saying, I am who I am right now. I have the psychology I have right now. And I have a right to express myself based on my current levels of consciousness. It's like this. You can say, here I am. I'm sitting on my computer. I'm looking at Facebook. Should I say something in this group? Should I post something? What if somebody's going to criticize me? What if I'm not perfect? Maybe I should just wait till I'm perfect. Maybe I should work more on my psychology. But the thing is, what if you just express something? And then when you get a reaction from other people, you're looking at yourself and saying, what are my reactions to this? Can I see that I have an unbalanced reaction? And then you go after that with the tools the masters have given about the subconscious selves. So you see what I'm saying? If you sit there and wait, you may make some progress, but it's much faster to put yourself out there, express yourself, work on the reaction you have to other people. You will make much faster progress. And the other thing is, of course, you may not be perfect. You may not have healed your psychology, but you think other people have? Do you think this person who posts a very negative comment about you, do you think that person has healed his or her psychology? Well, of course not. You look at social media, right? And you can immediately see that there are some people that are just posting negative comments about anything. And what are these people doing? Well, they are expressing their unresolved psychology. Because you can see there are people, they are not listening to what you're saying. They're not listening to your reasoning. They are just looking for a way to put it down, to invalidate it. Because they are also walking around with a t-shirt that says, validate me. They have the need for validation. And if you say something that isn't validating what they want to believe, then they have to put you down so they don't feel threatened by it. So once you realize these psychological mechanisms here, you can just say, well, I can only express myself based on my current level of consciousness, my current psychology. But if I express myself and use the reaction to resolve something in my psychology, then I'll make faster progress by expressing myself than I will by sitting here in my little ivory tower reading spiritual books every day.